It's Offside with Hawes and Maguire.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, you're ready. We're going to open this up.
All right.
Still
sounds great.
It
Still
does
sounds
sound
great.
I don't know if you've seen this, but it's a meme or something. The 3 greatest sounds in golf.
No.
Yeah. One is the ball going into the hole.
Of course.
Yeah. The other one is the nice
hitting
drive.
Yeah.
Hitting that drive.
Yeah.
And the third one?
Opening a beer.
So, anyhow. Hey, welcome to Offside with Hawes and Maguire. I'm Hawes.
I'm Maguire.
Okay, today is, it's been a long time since we got together.
It's been a while, man.
It's
You were in Florida. I was out east.
I was in Florida. No, I was in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, you're in Myrtle Beach. Sorry.
Yeah, I was in Myrtle Beach. Yeah, and golfing. I don't know if you know, they have some golf courses there.
I heard.
Yes, and it was awesome. It was great. It was a really great trip. And 40 guys from here. The hotel next to us, another 30 guys from Ottawa.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
there had to be guys that knew guys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then the week before, another group of guys I know were down.
Wow.
Okay. So you could not swing a dead cat without hitting somebody from Ottawa.
What are the courses like?
We played some really nice courses. I've been several times.
Yeah.
And the courses are good. I mean, you know what? I'm partial to Ireland, right?
Of course.
So they're not as nice as Ireland. Played a few really nice courses. We played one called Arrowhead. Okay. Which it was my favorite. Tough course. But it played my game and my golf clubs well.
Yeah. So
because it was a little shorter, a little more targety, you know what I mean? And so I didn't have to go for the long bombs or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so that was my favorite, but we played another course, which is the oldest course in Myrtle Beach, called the oldest course in Myrtle Beach.
Oh,
yeah.
Great name.
Yeah, it was. It was, I can't remember the name. Pine
It
something.
even rhymes.
It was Pine It was Pine something. Anyways, yeah, it was a nice course too, really quite nice. It was a great job done by, Ray Smith.
Okay.
Arranged it for everybody.
Yeah.
And so this was a great opportunity to go on a trip that I didn't have to organize.
Hey.
I didn't have to do.
I must have felt good.
Do you know what?
After Ireland.
It was almost like touching myself. Okay, now that we've gone there.
had 4 minutes in the pool before something inappropriate.
All right. So, but you were on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were out with the legends of
NHL legends.
The NHL
legends.
And so you were out in New Brunswick.
New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Yeah.
So tell me about this. Who was there? What did you do?
Yeah, it's the same trip, same guys, same company as last year.
Right.
So this is Steve Walton out of St. John, New Brunswick, has had this company and a while. I thought going to lose it during COVID, hung on to it, got it going again last year, and I was fortunate enough to do, I think, 3 or 4 tours of them last year. So this was the first one for this season. Pretty quick trip, Chris, really, but we started in a town in Lamaque, northern New Brunswick, and then we came down to Bathurst, Petit Rocher area, and then we went into the St. John area, Rossay, and I can't pronounce it, Pass. I always say it wrong.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, somewhere in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And then we headed to Truro, Nova Scotia. It was we had Chris Nilan, and he was the coach of the alumni. They had I'll probably forget somebody here now, but they had Stéphane Richer.
Yeah.
And we had some Ron Duguay, who we interviewed in Florida.
Yeah.
Is fighting a little bit of an illness right now.
Oh, really? What's that?
And they're doing some tests. And stuff.
You never like that. Eh?
No,
I never like to hear that.
He's 67, turning 68, so some stuff going on. Let's hope that things go well, but he was scheduled to come, and he couldn't make it, and Brian Scrugland was scheduled to come. He almost always attends these things, and his father-in-law died suddenly right on the eve of the trip. So those two were replaced by David Desharnais.
Okay, I know Desharnais. Yeah.
Who was playing pro last year in Switzerland.
Okay.
came on the tour and scored 9 cajillion goals. I mean, it was Lucien Deblois, Stéphane Richer, and David Desharnais were kind of on the Hab line.
Right.
But a name that you're going to absolutely love was there, and it's the first time I've ever worked with him.
Oh, really?
And there's not many guys that happens with me anymore.
Who's that?
Ken Linseman.
Oh,
the rat.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah.
Kenny Linseman.
Oh, that would be fun.
Oh, it was so cool. And David Shaw, who, so we had PJ Shaw, Kenny Linseman, and David Shaw, were all former Boston Bruins.
Okay, yeah.
Among other teams. David Shaw was drafted by the Quebec Nordiques. But, you know, I mean, Linseman played,
he played a lot of years.
800 games in the NHL. He played in the WHA. Ken Linseman is the man responsible.
Does he have a ring with Edmonton?
He does not. Yes, he does. Yes, he scored the first ever cup-winning goal.
Oh, did he?
In Oiler history in 1984. So he's drafted by the Flyers out of the WHA.
Yeah.
He was the man who, and his agent, Art Kaminsky, who challenged the 20-year-old draft.
Oh, really?
And basically broke its back and forced the NHL to go to an 18-year-old draft.
Really?
Yeah, it was Kenny Linseman, followed by the 6 baby Bulls, who all signed underage, but they did after Ken did.
Right.
So they, Gaston Gingras and Rob Ramage and Rick Vive and Pat Riggin and Craig Hartsburg, those 6 of these guys that came the year after Kenny. Anyway, Ken's on the trip too, and it was, I'd never worked with him before. And PJ Stock I've worked with. David Shaw I've never worked with before. Like we played one game. Every place was packed, by the way. They packed these arenas to see these guys.
Yeah.
It's unfreaking believable. And one of the games we were playing on the other side was a guy who won the Memorial Cup in 2022, just a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
He's actually playing university hockey right now.
Okay, in New Brunswick.
In the University of New Brunswick.
Right, yeah. They got a great program.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely, McDougall just runs that show there, and it's just crazy. Anyways, he won in 2022, and Dave Shaw won in 1982, 40 years apart. I got a picture of him in the dressing room. It's awesome. It's just cool stuff,
Yeah.
I love that, as you know. But it was just a blast. Steve Walton does an outstanding job. He's cut from your cloth. He sets this whole thing up, and you organize it. You got your transportation, you got your accommodation, and you got your bars that you're going to after the event.
Is that a priority?
Well, it's mandatory. You have to go.
Yeah.
And there was some great receptions. Where I was able to do. We did a 3 hot stoves.
Yeah.
I had Chris Nilan and Ken Linseman on stage for the first time ever since the brawl in the hall, November 20th, 1986, when Nilan was a line brawl on the ice, Montreal-Boston. I know some people will remember this. It's the one, Chris, where Nyland's going off the ice and Ken says something to him, although on stage he said, "I never said anything to him." And Nilan turns around and pops him.
Oh, really?
And half the Bruin bench comes, and then the Habs bench empties, and not everybody, but about 8 of them end up out of camera view.
Right, down
the hall.
Okay.
Hence the name, Brawl in the Hall.
All
and
right.
for the first time ever, we got the both sides story. It was unfreaking believable. It was unbelievable.
So Linseman claiming he said nothing. Mm-hmm. So he's sitting there. All of a sudden, this guy cold cocks him.
That's right. So I says, "Pardon?
I beg your pardon." So I snap, and I lose it. My head faking with the skate blade.
Thinking it was Jeff Geiger's head.
Exactly. Butt end to the solar plexus. Okay, sorry. We got a little champish there.
Absolutely,
so we should talk about some other things other than us.
Great trip. It's a great trip.
Well, congratulations, and you'll be going on another one soon, I assume.
Well, it looks like because of Ron's illness, probably the Alaska tour, and it looks like Sarah Palin's probably going to end up in the White House. So
is that right?
Well, that's certainly the hot rumor.
Really?
That, she's going to be going back and
doing what? Obviously, is some
don't
sort
know,
of,
no idea. But I mean, the fact
working.
that she and Ron played a huge role in our Alaska part of the tour.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Last year, and so that's not on right now while Ron deals with his health, and then Sarah deals with whatever Trump's
her
going
way.
to throw at her. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Listen. she's a somebody who has a lot to contribute, right?
I'm waiting for
No.
you. Going to hammer her?
No, I'm not going to say anything bad about Sarah. I actually like Sarah Palin.
Okay.
I think she was vilified by the press and a lot of things.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's a good-looking lady. And
She is, yeah.
and you know what? You don't become the governor of any state, or you aren't successful in politics at any level without being a fucking high-end person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She was a gymnast. I don't know if you knew this, right?
Oh, yeah, I know her
She was a
background.
gymnast. She was
Yeah.
a college athlete,
Yeah.
captain of I don't know, it was a basketball team. 4'2" when she was the captain of the basketball team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's a fighter, right? So I have respect for her there. You know what? Despite what some
I don't
people
think you
might
could
say-
grow up there if you're not tough. Like you're in the middle of wilderness up there in Wasilla.
Yeah.
Yes, she's in a lavish home.
Wasilla, that's why Elvis used to call his wife.
Yeah.
Hey, say, come here, Wasilla.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something like that.
Something like that.
Something like
Could have been Priscilla. But
Yeah.
I know you know.
Okay, so I'm sorry. You know what?
So next stop for us is Long Pond, where the home of hockey, or they claim to be, and back in Nova Scotia,
Right.
and then we're going to Labrador.
Oh, great.
Yeah, going to Labrador.
Okay.
So that's next, and then we're actually we're heading down where you always go, down south. We've got
Where?
a trip heading down to Georgia and Florida.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, the
Well, that'd be
NHL
great.
legends. So maybe we'll see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Come join us.
You know what? It could happen. It could happen. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to talk about the NHL currently, but I want to bring up a couple of things before, because there's lots of activity happening right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to start with the fact that Auston Matthews, after I criticized his looks, has fucking left the game. He's left the game of hockey because I hurt his feelings. They're calling it an upper body injury, but it's right here. I hurt him in the soul. And so he's not playing, yet the Leafs continue to win, right?
Notwithstanding, as we tape this, getting waxed last night by Florida. But other than that,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they're first place in the division.
But it was Florida.
It was Florida, defending Stanley Cup champions.
Right.
So no shame.
So the Leafs are doing very well.
Yeah.
Much, and here's the thing. Could be the year. That's what everybody says. Could be the Leafs' year. They've been saying that for the last 45 years, whatever it is. No, probably 58
Well, it's 50,
years.
Yeah, it's 58. It'd be
58
this
years.
is the 58th season since they won, I believe. 58th year anyway, going to 2025.
Right.
But Matthews is back skating after whatever the hell happened in Germany. Who even knows? I don't even know. But I think there's some details on it. I didn't read them. I don't know if you did or not. But
No, I don't know.
I didn't read him. He's back skating. He looks okay on the ice. I don't know. I don't think there's a projected return date yet.
No, so you know what?
They're not missing him.
Well, no. This is the thing. If you have a team that's doing that, what you look at. I mean, now a guy like Matthews, obviously you want back.
Sure.
But if it wasn't Matthews, if he was a third liner, he'd be like, "Eesh, there might be a bus ticket in there." For me, right?
Yeah.
Like
He'd be
that
sitting.
whole. It could be like, "Eesh, I don't know. We got some good chemistry going here."
Yeah.
But it is Matthews. He makes too much money. He's too good a hockey player. But that being said,
Three reasons I would say: Nylander and Marner. Nylander in particular, for most of what we've seen in this young season so far, Chris has been outstanding. Marner has been pretty steady himself. Matthew Knives, McMahon, but really, if there's a name that's come out of left field because he's bounced around, it's the goaltender Stollards.
Yeah.
Like, he has been.
well, Wall played well too.
Wall's played well also. However, Stollards, I think, has been more the story here as they've ascended into first in the division. Notwithstanding the fact that in the 8 teams in the Atlantic, they're separated by 9 points.
I know.
The other divisions are not even remotely close to how tightly knit as it is in the Atlantic. It's absolutely crazy.
Now, speaking more about the division, okay? So I just want to talk about the Ottawa Senators for a second as it relates to so I you know what? I broke my vow to never go back to the Corel Center,
Yes.
CTC. Only did it because my mother-in-law, for her birthday,
Yeah.
wanted to go and see a game.
Okay.
So I broke it for that, okay? But that was the only reason. So I go there. And Ottawa happened to win the game, okay, against Calgary. I was at that Calgary game.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're not doing well. Like they're not, like they're, you know what? They're like a little bit above Montreal, let's say, okay? But I'm just going to put it into perspective.
2 points.
They are well below Boston, and Boston fired their coach. So my question is, now, first of all, I don't know what happened to have fired
Montgomery just got absolutely was a whipping boy there, let's be honest.
Well, but how do you go from like
65 wins and
this
135 points?
So what I thought, I think he told Cam Neely to go fuck himself.
Yep.
Okay, and Cam Neely said, "All right, you're fired." Okay, that's the only reason to fire a guy at this juncture on a team that is underperforming, but that there's a lot of factors there. I mean, you can't blame the coach for the goaltender being a sieve.
No, Swayman has not been good.
No.
He's not been good, and Korpisalo actually has not been that bad for them, despite not being able to stop a beach ball rolled from center ice here in Ottawa. But if you look around the NHL, it's littered with goaltenders who came through the graveyard here and have gone on elsewhere
and have actually improved.
Are playing pretty good. Like Talbot's in the discussion for Canada for the Four Nations. Gustafson's probably going to, if he's not starting, he's number 2 for Sweden. And it's just a freak of nature to some degree. It does speak to other things. But hey, listen, Montgomery's firing was a joke. And everybody in hockey knows that. Yeah. And that's why he was hired like 48 hours later by St. Louis. So he was an assistant coach there previously, so he has a little bit of familiarity with the program and the organization. He gets hired a couple days later. It's like the last 3 coaches that they've had have all been rehired in 8 days or less after they've left the Bruins. Right. And they've all been previous Jack Adams award winners too.
So everybody knows, because Butch Cassidy, right? Mm-hmm.
Claude Julien.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Right.
In fact, he was the longest. He had to wait 8 days. 8 days for a job.
Wow.
Cassidy was a week.
Yeah.
And Monty was 2 days.
Yeah. There is something wrong. There's something rotten in Denmark.
And you know what it is? You said the name.
Yeah, you think it is, eh?
Fucking right. Listen, it's the same thing in Toronto. At what point does the Shanna plan... I mean, Mike Babcock stood up there with Shanahan and said there's going to be pain, and there was that first year, and they finished last, and they got Auston Matthews, and they began the climb. Chris, that's a long time ago. Mm-hmm. That's 8 years ago. Like, at some point, the buck has to stop with those guys. And I'll tell you what, though, it doesn't. They're Teflon for so long. And the perfect analogy is in Montreal with Ronald Corey, who systematically is the man that's responsible for the decimation of that franchise, at least in the modern era as we know it. Because the Patrick Waugh scenario doesn't happen if Corey doesn't go back into the 1970s well, which he did repeatedly to try and save his ass with behind the bench with the quick coach bump and whatnot. Right. And he hires Mario Tremblay, who was the antichrist to Patrick Waugh. And we all know what happened December 2nd, 95, and then 3 days later to the trade. Notwithstanding a few moments where the roller coaster was going up in the Bob Gainey era, and then, Carey Price came along and almost single-handedly dragged them into success. But at the end of the day, Ron Corey...
almost. Did he not...
Well, they didn't win a cup. But they got a final, and they got 2 trips in the semis, so 3 in total in the Price era, even though Yaroslav Alak was carrying the mail in 2010. However, Carey was there. But the point is, these presidents hang around a long time before they fall out. Look at Mike Milbury on the island. And he wasn't even actually, although he wore all the hats because Wang was overseas. Yeah. So Milbury just wore all the hats and just ran that organization with full autonomy. How'd that go?
Yeah. Well, because there was no Wang.
You still got it.
I do. Well, you know what? It's very cheap, but if, you know what? Anytime you can say Wang and it's not like filthy, you can say it.
There you go.
Right? And then you can use the double entendre of what Wang could be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
Neely should be gone and Shanahan should be gone. And when both those teams fail this year, and they will, Boston is going to be tooth and nail to make the playoffs. They're going to be absolutely tooth and nail.
Well, they're going to have to pick up their socks. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, big win last night. Big third period. Marchand gets a couple. You know, they kind of look like the Bruins of yesteryear being the last year or two last night. It's just so crazy in that Atlantic right now.
Well, it is, and it's so like you were saying, it is very, very tight. But Ottawa cruising in at the bottom with Montreal.
Yeah, well, the Habs
like,
are last, and
Ottawa's second last.
Ottawa's second last in the Atlantic, but there's 9 points separating first and eighth.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
you know what? Here's the thing: I would feel much more comfortable if Ottawa was. I mean, and I am an Ottawa fan. Just so I'm an Ottawa fan as well, and not just Boston. And I'll be honest with you, I think only because this is my hometown and I love it. If there was it couldn't happen, but if there was a Boston-Ottawa run-up, right? Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, if there was a cup, right? They can't compete for the cup.
No.
But if it's them, and they won't compete as the finals in the East because they're two different divisions. So it's early on.
They're in the same division, so they would meet.
So, and
even if somebody got the wild card, they'd come back and would meet probably second round.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get to that end point. Is my point.
Okay. Yeah.
In the early series, of course, I'm going with my team. But if it was a later series, I'd be thinking, I really want Ottawa to win a cup.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I would choose to cheer for Ottawa over Boston because...
Perish the thought.
I know. Like, you would never do that with the Canadians.
No.
I know. So am I bad? I'm a bad person.
No, you're 40% of the fans here switched between 92 and say 2000 that were hardcore Leaf and Hab fans became Sens fans.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly. So I really do want to see the Sens win a cup. I do, and you know what? And I say that I'm hoping Mr. Andlauer fucking makes things happen for that. Now let's move on. Let's talk about another big event. A big event coming up in February.
What is it?
That's it's the group of 7 getting together to do some more artwork. No, it's the it's the International Cup, the Canada Cup, the World Forum of Hockey. What are we calling it?
Four Nation.
Oh, the Four Nations. I can't keep up with all the fucking names.
Well, there's not that many.
Okay.
There's not that many, but the Four Nation is coming fast, and we're getting a snippet of information that's being released here on the rosters. And of course, everybody of the Four Nations, that being Sweden, Finland, the States, and us, have named their starting 6. So the rosters, I think they're supposed to be filled out.
So starting 6, do you know them all?
I don't know them all. I know it's Marchand, Crosby, McDavid, Braden Point, and Cale Makar, and McKinnon. So I believe those are the 6 for Canada. And I don't know the other teams, the other starting 6.
And frankly, we don't care.
But it's going to be a quick week. It's a round robin. Everybody plays everybody once.
Right, and so then they go into the head-to-heads.
You get 3 games, and they're taking the top 2 teams.
Just the top 2.
Just the top 2 for a one-shot winner-take-all, because it's not a sanctioned event. It's not. It's a precursor because the NHL players are going back to the Olympics in 2026. We haven't had a best-on-best since the World Cup in 2016, which is 8 years ago. So it's the last time that there's been any type of best-on-best. So this will be coming into 9 years because it'll be 2025.
So do you think that the Canada Cup is dead now that the Olympics has taken over? Really?
No, I don't. I do think, well, first of all, the Canada Cup by name, of course, is dead.
Well, yeah, no, but
no, the World Cup will be back. It will be back. Yeah, I believe, at least as long as Gary Bettman and Bill Daly and et al. are in charge, that they want to have a best-on-best tournament under NHL rules.
Yeah.
They don't want to have a tournament on the big ice. They don't want to have a tournament in a country that maybe has the hockey is just another one of many sports. and has no...
As opposed to the United States?
Well, I
I mean,
mean the point is, I'm talking about who's hosting.
Right.
Because in Torino in 2006, not only did we get brutal times during the day where you're taking world-class athletes who are paid professionals.
Oh, you're talking Olympics now?
Yeah, the Olympics.
Right, okay.
I'm talking about the Olympics. And this is going to seem hypocritical because the athletes who compete in any sport have worked their ass off to get there.
Absolutely.
And whether they're diving off a board or running in a track or doing whatever, and the thing is, they're probably more accustomed to it. You're taking pros, and it's a big cachet to have these guys there. It adds all this value to the 5 rings of deceit and lie and bribery and whatever else they stand for. And it's supposed to be a big deal. And you put us on shit ice with holes in it, everything else. The ice in Torino was garbage. That's not why we lost. But regardless, fact is that no, the World Cup is definitely going to survive.
Okay, all right.
Because I think Gary Bettman and the Board of Governors and the Players Association, who get a much bigger, they're getting nothing for going in the Olympics.
Right.
So it's they want to go there. You want to march.
Well, you want to go, and you want to win a gold medal for your country.
For sure.
You want to be proud of who you are, where you come from. And you know what? And you want to get that phone call from Justin Trudeau to tell you how proud he is.
Well, guess what? He won't be making the next call in 2026 because he won't be our prime minister. But the fact is that that's why they did the Four Nation. It's replacing the All-Star Game. I believe the All-Star Game's been nixed for this year. Four Nations coming in, Chris. And you know what? And we just had the CHL play Team USA. This is a first time ever. This is going to become
They played the USHL.
They played the so it's who's ever eligible for this year's draft.
Right. Okay.
So you could take whatever player you wanted
from wherever.
So
even within colleges and everything. Yeah. Okay.
They had to be eligible for this year's draft, and that's who formed the United States team. And we took our best from the CHL, the Canadian Hockey League, which is the 3 leagues as we know.
Yeah.
And we absolutely mopped the floor with them.
Yeah.
I mean, last night's score was close only because they started shit after every whistle. They're wearing full visors and cages, which I'm sure if you went to any one of those kids...
Because they're U18.
I know, I understand. Well, they're not U18. No.
They're not?
No. Well, they're U18. They're turning 18 this year.
That's what I mean,
But they wouldn't be able to play in a U18 tourney because all of these kids would have birth years that would make them eligible for U18. It's the best prospects who are going to get drafted in this year's draft, Chris. So it's a notch above U18. It's more like a World Junior, but not
the World Juniors.
No, because the Canadian team will look a little bit different. As will the Americans. Yeah. Because they will have.
Are you excited about the World Junior?
Well, yeah, it's in Ottawa.
I know.
I know. So
I'm not going to be here.
Where are you going to be now?
I'm going to be in Florida.
Oh, Jesus.
And then I'm going to Arizona.
Of course.
So I'm missing it. Well,
it sucks to be you, buddy.
The problem is I have children in all these places, and
and some you don't even know about.
That's right. Yeah, actually, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be frank.
Frank who?
There are no children that I'm not aware of because no other woman from my wife has been attracted to me for hundreds of years. Okay. People say to me, I go to Palm Springs, and Palm Springs is a big gay community there. Oh. And then people go, doesn't that bother you? I was like, no. Like, I've yet to be hit on. They have yet to find me attractive, so I got nothing to worry about. So there is a bonus to being an ugly person, right?
Hey, well,
okay.
I know all about it. Face for radio here for 100 years. So
hey, you know what? Yeah. And that's the thing. So, okay, we have other things to talk about.
Yeah.
What else was the other things?
Anyway, just a quick wrap up on the Four Nation.
Oh yeah, Four Nation
is going to be. I think it's going to be outstanding hockey. The venues are Montreal and Boston.
Yeah,
and I think it's just going to be. It's going to give us whet our appetite. As I said, we've had nothing for 8 years. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
What we saw last night, the last 48 hours here, as we taped this, the CHL. I think that was just that was an absolute beatdown. Scores close last night because they scrummed after every whistle. They had nothing. We outshot them 1 billion to nothing, and they hung around.
So maybe they're going to pull the Herb Brooks thing, and he's going to go back and skate them and do it. He'll look a lot like Kurt Russell.
They'll be formidable in the World Juniors. They always are.
Yeah.
But I think I'll finish on this note. We continue this. We're 52 years since Henderson, and we continue to dominate the hockey landscape. In fact, Chris, in the U17s, where we have 3 teams in the U17 championship, world championship, we put 3 teams in. And for the first time since 2009, 2 Canadian teams faced each other in the final. Like, we continue to produce top-end talent. There's some kids coming. And I don't know if you saw that Sens game last night, but Celebrini he's the real freaking deal. Yeah. And this is not your Erik Karlsson San Jose Sharks, by the way. Yeah. I know they're 4 or 5 games under 500 right now. Look where they were the last 2 years, last 3 years. When they had to just prop up that floater and let him get his 100 points. This is not that team. These guys were full measure for what they did to Ottawa on the ice last night. They just came out on the wrong end of the score. But that was an amazing game. Yeah. And from a San Jose point of view, and Celebrini is unfreaking believable. Yeah. He's eligible to play in the World Junior this year.
No, he's only 18 years old.
He's not going to go.
19 years old.
Connor Bedard is eligible.
Yeah.
Not going to be released. This is my point. Why can't, in a perfect world, in Liam Maguire's utopia for international hockey, you want to talk about whetting our appetite, you sign the deal, and the World Juniors every year, Chris, would be, because the World Juniors, we call it the World Juniors. In Europe, the IIHF's called U20. It's supposed to be the best 19-year-olds, so that all the best, and there's tons of good Americans, Swedes, I don't know, let the Russians back in at some point. This thing with Ukraine's going to go till the day we die.
Well, here's the thing. It's penalizing young people, athletes, that have really no connection with the politics.
Yeah.
Okay? I actually completely disagree with it. I think that I think you keep politics and sports out of it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, these are just kids.
They're just
all
kids.
they want to do is play hockey.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I know that.
I know Ovi's got Putin on his speed dial there and whatnot, and that's But anyway, Ovi's beloved anyway. Right now, out with a broken bone in the tibia. Woo.
I know.
Let's see how he comes back from that. Wow.
You know what? And did you see the scrap after, like Wilson?
Oh yeah.
But you know what? I really thought it was classy of Wilson to say, I had to do something. I had to stand up for my player. He goes, I know it wasn't on purpose, but I had to stand up for my player. And the guy answered the bell.
Yeah.
And I thought, nowhere else do you get that kind of respect.
Yeah.
Wilson's, got his issues.
Wilson, yeah.
But you get that kind of respect.
Yeah. And other than the sport of hockey.
Other than hockey. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Because sometimes the other guy who's in the scrap just knows, I got to go here. I got to go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to give him a fight. We got to go. Yeah, we're going. We're going, of course. Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? And then Turtle. No.
That's Matthew Tkachuk country.
Yeah.
But he's got a Stanley Cup ring now. So, there you go.
Well, so bringing it up to Sens again, because
you got to mention Gaudette.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the story in the NHL. Because he's come out of left field.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old. This is his second stint with Ottawa. Does anybody even remember when he was here?
No.
I barely do. Man, I watch it closely. And he was here. He played 50 games. He wore. I
knew him when he was actually before he was Gaudette. He changed his name. He used to be Goddamn, and now he's Gaudette. It's a little bit silly.
Almost. I almost spit it out. I managed to swallow it.
Okay.
The last thing I want to do is spit out most of the export ale.
Exactly.
Gaudette right now is a story. Now he's playing on that line. Scores 2 last night, including the winner with less than 5 to go.
And 2 the other night.
Stützle is really the story of Ottawa right now, though, in terms of, he is. It's unbelievable right now. It's the best I've ever seen him play. And they just need Jake to get back to where he was last year. It's amazing, eh? Sophomore year sometimes.
Wow.
Look, Connor Bedard in Chicago is kind of, he just scored his 4th goal the other night. He's got a whack of assists.
Yeah.
I think he's at 17 or 18 points. He's just under a point a game still. But Gaudette's the story, I think, right now. Yeah. Yes, Martin Nescash leading the league in scoring might, his camp may have something to say about that. But I think Gaudette's just a phenomenal story. This guy, drafted by Vancouver, he's bounced around. Previously in Ottawa, leaves, comes back, I think a free agent, signed in July, this past July.
Yeah.
And they put him on the big line, and he's taken off. He played okay in Vancouver. We haven't seen any of this. My only point in all of this is he's back wearing a sweater number with an 8 in it because he always previously wore 88. Until he was here in Ottawa the first time around, he wore 17. For whatever reason, maybe he thought,
right.
Oh, well, I'll get rid of that number. I'm not Eric Lindros. Who do I think I am or whatever? Yeah. And so he goes to a regular number. Now he's back. He's wearing 81, and he's tearing it up. I'm not saying, whatever. Yeah. Not trying to be Phil Esposito here in the 70s.
Right.
But at the end of the day, with the Rangers, at the end of the day, Gaudette, I think, is a hell of a story.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, I watched him the other night, and I was, you know what? I got to tell you, the game's fast, eh?
Oh,
it is fast.
It's unfreaking believable. And we watch all the time.
I know, but you know what? You don't get the same perspective. And this is what why I do love going to the rink, okay? Even though I don't like to go because they don't accept cash, okay? But I love going to the rink because you get that perspective on the speed. You don't get that on TV. You don't get the true perspective of that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I could skate with these guys.
Oh, come on. Don't be foolish. You could put your skates on and go out and take a stride.
No,
but
exactly.
You wouldn't actually say be stride for stride with them.
No, yeah.
But they'd be striding and you'd be striding.
Yeah. No, you know what? That puck moves so fast.
Yeah, it's
those guys
never been fast.
You know what? I'm ultimately impressed by these young guys because they're young. They're young guys, right? How quickly they move the puck and the decision making, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny. A guy says to me in my league, he goes, you know what? It's just amazing. I love the way you slow down. You get the puck and then you slow down the game and then you can do it. Okay, which is kind of like I have to, right? But I do. I've always had that ability to find time and space and to take a look around and do that. But I'll tell you, these guys don't have any fucking time.
No.
The decision, they got to know what's going on all the time, and the amount of collisions and things that are avoided by the fact that these guys are just tuned, they are in top shape mentally and physically. Don't ever say that a hockey player is stupid because they are not. They have great executive function. I mean, you don't get to be an elite hockey player without extreme executive function. And you know what? Maybe some of them ain't good with the book learning, but they're fast, they're quick. And that's why I will always take an elite hockey player. If I was hiring for something, I would pick an elite hockey player, even, a fighter, even a guy who's, even something to be there.
Drop them down a league and watch them score 20 goals.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
these guys are, and I'm talking about in business, in hiring, because they have the skills that can transfer. Yeah. They've got it here. Okay, they may not have the application of certain areas, but they'll get it. I guarantee you that. You know what I'd like to see? I would like to see the next, or maybe the next Prime Minister of Canada be an ex-NHL hockey player. Someone with passion.
I'd love that.
Wouldn't that be great? Just to be like, Mr. Speaker, it's go time!
Look across the walkway there. What do they call it?
Yeah, the aisle.
The aisle. Across the aisle.
The floor of the House of Commons.
The floor of the House of Commons, and call out somebody. We're going.
Yeah, and you know what? And it would be hockey jargon, right?
Yeah.
Your mother's. You know what I mean? They'd be calling. Hey, I fucked your mother last night. And Justin would be like, oh, another guy fucked my mother. Not just Castro. Sorry, I'll probably edit that part out.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Well, maybe you should.
Because here's the thing. Saying that Justin Trudeau is the illegitimate son of Fidel Castro, I have no proof of that.
We have no proof.
We have no proof. We have no DNA. No. I think what he should do is take a DNA sample, right, and fucking put that whole rumor to bed right away.
Yeah.
Right? Put it to bed right away.
Well, listen, I mean, this time next year, you'll be working in a library or something somewhere. So,
No, he's working in a library. You know how much money this guy has got overseas in some foreign account? Okay, Liam has gone overboard again. I've had to edit. Okay, well, that's the end of our thing. We should talk about the hockey pool, except I haven't even paid attention to it this past week. So
I haven't either. In terms of the overall leader, I don't know if the Goon Squad is still.
Yeah, you know what? Let me check. I can do this live, and then I can edit it out. Okay, and I'll pretend. Well, I'm not going to edit this part out, but I'll pretend. I'll come back. I'll cut it, and then I'll come back. Well, I just happen to remember. Anyways, I'll just. It's the magic of editing. Ta-da! Okay, we're back.
Perfect.
So the Goon Squad still in the lead. Okay, Adel is kicking ass like you wouldn't believe. Like Adel, I'm very impressed. Very smart man. CTO, former CTO, or maybe he still is, of Bell. Like he's like that. We're talking like crazy smart. Like
Still is, you think?
Yeah, I think he's still with Bell. But he was the CTO for a long time.
Right.
And then we have in second place Wayne's World, who you know what? I forget exactly who that is.
Okay.
Okay. And then Chuck
hanging
a close
around.
Third. Like he's there. And you know what? And listen, I would love to see Adel win, and I would love to see Chuck win.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't recall who Wayne's World is.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him win too.
Yeah.
I mean, I like all the people, but
whoever wins.
Yeah. But you know what? Because of what happened last year, I'd like to see Chuck. You know what I mean?
Because Chuck was right in it.
He was right to the end. Oh, hey, by the way, so the guys, people don't know this. So part of the trip, Air Canada fucked up and they missed the flight.
Boy.
Some guys missed the whole day. Okay, so Air Canada finally comes back and they gave them the mandatory $1,000 refund or whatever. Absolutely. So did the guy who actually won our trip, who didn't. He got the free trip and $1,000 spending money.
Did he?
Yeah.
So unbelievable.
Yeah. So So he got. So now we can say our trip was a trip to Ireland and $1,000 spending money.
Woo!
So, but you know what? I haven't talked to him since. I did say that's wonderful, and I heard all about it. I am expecting a fucking gigantic Christmas gift from him.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, minimally a 40-pounder or something that we could take a few shots out of.
I think so.
Yeah.
I
mean,
because,
that would be probably appropriate. And I bet you he'd probably happily spring for that.
I think so. I think so.
I want to give a shout out to Hawes and Brown.
Hawes and Brown, for sponsoring.
Hawes and Brown Automotive and Shoeless Joe's.
Well, listen, I'm not saying anything about Shoeless Joe's until the check's in hand. No free fucking things.
There'll be no check in hand until we start saying Shoeless Joe's because we haven't done a show.
True. But
my buddy Jeff is going to sponsor, and by sponsoring, I'm just going to give Shoeless Joe's a shout out. Both locations, Kentville and Orleans. And he's sponsoring a very quick This Day in Hockey as we tape this on November 28th. Yvonne Cornway, Daryl Sittler both scored their first goal in the NHL on today's date, if you can believe it. November 28th, 7 years apart. Yvonne 63 and Sittler in 70, both against Detroit.
Oh, really?
And so a little irony there. But if there was something significant on November 28th, it would be Billy Smith. Billy Smith was awarded a goal. Was the first
I remember that.
In NHL history, 1979, November 28th, playing against Colorado. Rob Ramage shot the puck the length of the ice. Took video replay after to confirm the last Islander touch was Billy. So he was awarded a goal. So here's a couple of November 28th items brought to you by Shoeless Joe's and my buddy Jeff Underhill, and you will get.
All right. I just want to make sure that's all. I got to handle the business side of this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I have some money for you, by the
way. Do we have any more?
I spent some of it.
Okay. Do we have any? Oh. Okay. Do we have any more sponsors?
Check 1, 2.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. I'm gonna cut back. So do we have any more sponsors?
I'm working on a couple.
Okay. So if by chance you're the one person who has stayed on to the end of this broadcast, Okay.
By the time you edit it, you're going to take
Yeah.
15 minutes out of it. So.
Absolutely, yeah. No.
Yeah.
But if you're still around, we still do need what do you call it? Sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need some sponsors to make this. Here's the thing. This is the greatest fucking podcast, webcast in all of fucking hockey history. Okay? And yet, we got nothing.
Pretty tough to beat Biz fighting 6 guys.
Do you know what?
That's tough to
I've
compete.
fucking done the same thing.
Yeah.
In my kids' school. I took on fucking 9 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what? Here's the thing. I did see that. I thought it was great, actually.
It's
Where
just
did
not
that
happening,
Where did that happen? I'm not sure where location.
I don't either. Arizona somewhere. I'm
Was
assuming.
it? Okay. So here's what I say, and this is what
Probably someplace you could be at here.
Yeah, it could be. Well, so is he in Arizona? Is that
I
where
think
he
so.
is?
I think so. Yeah.
So here's the thing. If by the way, someone said to me, Chris, you say listen, and here's the thing all the time.
I know you do.
And it's like
here's the
I
thing.
had no.
It's definitely part
Here's
of
the thing. Here's the thing. The sheriff in Maricopa County, okay, and the sheriff's department have encouraged people to go out and buy a gun.
Oh.
And they've cut the sales tax on buying your first gun, not your second, but your first gun.
Oh, well, so they should.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen,
for that kid who's struggling at 14 or 15, he doesn't have that.
But kind of what Trudeau's doing with the HST.
Yeah.
So for the first gun, and they've said, and we encourage you to use it. Somebody comes on your property that you don't want, or somebody is trying to assault you, use the gun. We are not going to charge you. So I say, Biz, you need to get a gun. Yeah. Because the next fucking guys might have, you know what I mean? And then you get to say, I shot 6 men in Arizona while I was the sheriff or whatever. Like you know what I mean? Arizona.
Too bad they weren't in Tombstone.
Exactly. So anyhow, that's what I'm saying. Just a little bit of advice for him. I don't know him. I've never met him, right? So I can.
I've never met him either, but
really?
I exchanged some emails with him a couple of years ago on some stuff, but I've never actually met him.
Oh, really?
I've never actually met him. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, so I don't know the guy. I just know him from the show, like from his podcast, which I support wholeheartedly. I even buy I bought the Pink Whitney stuff, and we try to do the support of other fledgling podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So I'm waiting for the shout out to me. Okay, Biz. That's what I'm saying. Here's the thing. This has been Offside with Hawes and Maguire. I'm Hawes.
I'm out of beer, so I'm Maguire. G'day.